Yeah, both cars just seemed to find their way to the front, and when I got to the lead in stage two, and I think somebody told me there was 5-10 laps to go, and Chris was running second. I knew he was going to be, quite a contender, a threat, because he had passed a ton of cars. I think, would you guys start 23rd or 20, 26? So obviously at that point he had passed 24 cars, and to do that, I knew he was really, really strong. And we had the stage win there at the end of stage two, and when we began stage three, Chris was able to just keep right up with me, and I think he was actually a little faster than me. And he had a great pit sequence, and I struggled a little bit on the pit sequence with some of my stuff, and he found himself to the lead, and just never looked back there with about 110, 120 to go, I guess. But then from there, it's just the strategies and guys on one stops and guys on 2 or 3 stops and everything in between. And they were able to call a great race, and Chris was able to execute. Had a little curveball thrown at him at the end there with that spin, I think. And then you're just thinking, man, let's just not lose this race with something silly happening. So glad that wasn't the case, and certainly tremendous execution. We want both cars. We want to finish 1-2. That's the ultimate goal, and we didn't get that, but we still had a heck of a day where we ran 1-2 at parts, and this is kind of the next step for us, is to be able to win races on a contender basis, and kind of, I told somebody, or I told a lot of you guys here this year, that we've moved from irrelevant to relevant, and the next step is kind of trying to be contenders, and you get to the contender status by winning races, and we're not where we want to be. We want to be where we win every week, and we're 1-2 finishing, but this is another step in our progression, and a lot to be proud of.
Matt Weaver, Sportsnet. A follow-up on the pit entry where you were kind of sideways in the box. One, what happened, but two, do you think that even made a difference with them undercutting you and probably being a little faster?
Yeah, I'd have to go back and watch it all. I just got in a little too hard and a little too wide and locked up the right front. But, I'd struggle to give a great answer on whether, how big a difference that would make until I've seen all the information. But certainly Chris was very fast, and when we got back out on the track, I got passed by, 2 or 3 cars. So I was just trying to hold on there for a little bit, and just got a car handling got away from me a little bit, and not exactly sure why, but we'll go back and take a look at that.
And then this is the second time, I think, Bristol, where you kind of had to balance happy for the team, but a little disappointed in your personal performance too. Is that kind of the case here today too?
I mean, obviously I want to win the race as a driver, and that's super important to me. Bristol honestly stung a lot more than this did, because it was out of our control where we blew a tire, and here I think there were some things that were in my control and in our control as a team that I wasn't flawless today. So there's a little bit of work to do there on my end, but so I don't think it stings so much the way Bristol did. But in both cases, we had 2 good cars, and we were able to strike with the 17 car, and that's something to be proud of.
We'll go over to the left, and then Seth.
Chris Powell, Couch Coach Live. Brad, in broadcast, they were saying that pretty much inside that car was over 130 degrees. Talk about just the physical demands of that. Is there anything that's comparable as far as that could, the physical demand of that?
Yeah, I don't know what you would, compare to that, but, driving a race car is a very unique environment, and, the conditions today were certainly hot. It ended up being more forgiving than I think we thought it would be coming into the weekend. We thought coming into the weekend it was going to be a challenging race, and 100-degree temps, and we got a little reprieve there with, was it 88 or 89 today? Yeah, woo, a lot cooler, right? But driving race cars isn't supposed to be easy. It's supposed to be challenging, and that's what separates the great from the average, or the good from the average, and everything in between. So, there's, of course, limits to everything, but the physical duress that it takes to drive a race car, and the mental challenge that goes with it, the combination there together, I think is what makes winning so special, is because it's certainly not handed to you.
We'll go to Seth, and then Owen over here.
Tires.net. Brad, how rewarding has it been to lead this organization in its revitalization over the past year and a half?
Well, I'm not the only person, right? I'm one of the people. There's a team of people, and I'm happy for them. I take the most pleasure from seeing that a group of people come together, whether it be the ones that you see with the drivers and the pit crew and the team members, or the people you don't see, which is the mechanics and the management team and so forth, and the partners. And I take just as much pride in that as anything that I've done. And really my job is to be a facilitator. It's to try to make sure the resources are there in combination with the right people to be successful. And in that light, I don't feel like I really do that much work, to be quite honest. I just try to listen to the people that do the work and make sure that they're getting what they need in a servant leadership style. And some days I'm better at that than others, certainly. And we have we have all of our flaws, and I have all of the flaws that come with that. But I think we've come a good ways. I'm not looking up today, even as strong as today was, and saying, hey, we've got everything we need to win every week, but we're progressing and we're putting ourselves in position.
Brad to Owen.
Scene.com. You recently signed the big deal with Build Submarines, and you've got a couple big sponsors sticking with you. How much does a performance like this give you confidence in your financial situation and giving the team those resources?
It's huge. We are doing a great job with our partners right now. I'm thrilled for Fastenal, key partner for us. It's been with this team for almost 15 years now, I think. And so that's a big win for us to be able to get them in victory lane. And obviously, like I said, we signed some key partnerships here in the last few weeks with Build Subs, which is, a lot of their group here is based out of Newport News, and so we're glad to have them here and seeing us in victory lane with one of our cars, and just super proud to be where we're at. So, obviously the sponsorship game is so critical for us. It's 60 to 70% of our team revenue comes from partnerships, and we need those partnerships to be world-class partners, and so. I think we've got a couple really solid partners, and with Fastenal and Build Subs, and to see them both in victory lane this today was really great for us. Of course, we're always looking to land more partners of that nature, and this certainly bodes well for that. But a good day for us on the partnership front, obviously, as well. Thank you.
We'll go to Jordan, Deb, and then Kelly.
Jordan Bianchi, The Athletic. I had a few for each of you. I guess, Scott, we'll ask you first since you haven't spoke yet. A race like this, where it's very strategy heavy, it seems like this is kind of an old school race in a lot of respect. For a crew chief, is there kind of a thrill and a kick that you guys have such an impact on the outcome as opposed to maybe some other races that we see nowadays?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I always enjoy the races where we have a part like that in a role. But it takes there's the strategy, but it also takes the execution of the pit crew and the driver and everything else. I mean, for everybody to execute as well as they did today, our pit crew was incredible. I think you'll see we gained spots on pit road. Chris gained spots on track. And I knew starting where we were, we were just going to have to gradually ratchet our way forward, and we were able to do that, and without mistakes. That's really what was key for us today.
And then, Brad, there's going to be a lot of talk about the short track package. Obviously, the test tomorrow, in general, overall this year. From your perspective, what was the quality of racing like today? And then, two, the fans may not have enjoyed today for whatever reason, right? But from a driver's perspective, was it fun out there and these having a long green flag runs like this?
I'm sorry, what was the first question? You asked so many, Jordan, I couldn't keep up with that.
No problem. Sorry. Let's just go there. Was as a driver, was it enjoyable today with these long green flag runs?
Yeah, it was for me. I mean, this is when I started Cup. This is what Cup was. It's long green flag runs. I've been running the SRX series for the last few weeks, and you run 12 and 15 or 20 laps, and they throw a yellow, and I've been picking on the series for that. When we're in our more intimate sessions, like, geez, guys, was this the senior tour? You can't race more than 20 laps, it completely changes the dynamics of the race when you have 20 lap runs, and when you don't know if it's going to be a 10 lap run or a 100-lap run, you have to make choices with how you drive the car and how you set up the car and how you approach the entire weekend as a team. And that creates all these different variabilities throughout the field that I think makes racing just fun as hell. From the driver perspective, when they dropped the green at the start of stage 2, and I was just digging, and I'm in the back of my mind going, oh, God, please don't let this go long green flag run. Because I know I've burnt the rear tires off this car. like that part to me is fun. Like that's the challenge. Like it feels like there's a game of, chess going on, and you're trying to play it as smart as you can, and trying to, have the feedback loop with the team so they don't over adjust because you burnt the tires off, and all these different things. And that's what cup racing to me is. And every once in a while you get these short run races where there's a lot of wrecks, and the variability is what makes cup to me so much fun. It's just not knowing what you're going to get. And by nature, that means you have to have races with long runs, because everybody will just sell out for short runs, and then the racing gets dramatically worse. When everybody in the field can sell out for short runs, you never see any passing, you never see any comers and goers, because everybody knows that, start the air pressure's high and do all these different things and have the car crazy sideways loose. And that to me is the worst racing you're ever going to see. So, I appreciate races that have long runs. And, the end of this race came down to a short run. Was it a 3-lap kind of green, white, checkered-ish kind of run? So, I think there's a little bit of everything in there. And I love the fact that a track like this, you can run the bottom, the middle, the top. And that puts it in a spot when you have racing like this that makes elite drivers want to be in this series. And I think that's really important. And, you've heard me say it a couple times, Jordan, is we need this series to be a series where the format rewards elite talent. And if you continue to strip things out of it that elite talent does well, you're just going to drive them away, or they're not going to rise to the top. And that's not good for us. So, I think in that light, I love the fact that there was a long green flag run today. Obviously had a fast car, and it favored us to some extent. But there's weeks where it doesn't, and I think that's part of what makes cup racing special. Certainly last week in Pocono, I didn't think we were particularly strong on long runs, but that's what this series is, and I think that's part of what makes it so much fun. Certainly, you need to have long runs if you're going to have 3.5-hour races, because that'd be a lot of 20-lap runs elsewise. But no, I think it was the type of racing that Cup Series needs, and we can't have the same type of racing every week. The variability of it is tremendously rewarding to me, and demands a lot out of the drivers and a lot out of the teams. And when all is said and done, because of that, more often than not, you look at who's in victory lane and you say that person deserved to be there. And I think that's critically important for our series.
You talked this weekend about how you and Chris were effectively in the playoffs, but now Chris is locked in the playoffs. What does that mean for you guys as an organization to put somebody, at least one driver for sure, probably two, in the playoffs a year after missing out?
Yeah, it's a big step forward. I don't know if I have an answer for what it means, other than we get to stay in business, which is always good, right? But it's a good boost of confidence for us that we're doing the right things, for me personally, but beyond me, just the people that work there every day, and they put their effort and heart and soul into the cars and the team, and I'm happy for them. From Jordan, thank you. Thanks for asking him the question first, so I gave my ice cream.
We'll go to Deb.
Cookout ice cream. They had it free in Victory Lane.
Deb, Kelly, then Bob.
Deb Williams, Auto Week. This is for Scott. Throughout the year, Ford has battled a lack of downforce. How did that play or help Ford today with this hot, slick racetrack?
I think, a track like this, it kind of evens the field out a little bit. Maybe it shows up in qualifying if you're a little bit off on one area or another of the car. But you get into like what Brad was talking about, the long runs here, and it's really more about just handling of the car. What it's going to do short run versus long run. We had a really good long run car, and Chris was able to manage the fall off really well. So, I think that takes horsepower out of the equation. With all that fall off, it takes downforce out to some extent. It just kind of evens it out a little bit, and I think, like Brad said, it's more of how does the driver deal with it? Are they going to manage the car well enough to get through a long run or not? And really just taking care of it to be able to move through the field like Chris did.
Kelly, then Bob.
Kelly, CrandallRacer.com. Scott, you've had a very up and down career in the Cup Series. What's just your pride or personal satisfaction in building this 17 team and how far it's come over the last couple years?
Yeah, it's been it's like you said, it's been up and down, and a lot of years of frustration. But I've always felt like this is where I can be, or that always wanted to be part of a team that executed it at this level, and like what we did today. So that means a lot to me personally, and I think Brad talking about his impact wouldn't be able to do this if he hadn't come into the company and really helped, I guess, give the leadership. I know he says maybe he doesn't feel like he does a lot, but I think the expectations he brings, but not only just the expectation, he actually gives us the tools to do it. That's probably something that we lacked before. There's always an expectation, and then it was sometimes it didn't always have the tools that we needed and the resources to get there, and I feel like he's really been critical to that. So to be able to see this build, get the team better, it means a lot to me, because I've really fought hard for this for a lot of years and wanted to be at this level, and to see it starting to come to fruition really means a lot.
When you got paired with Chris, I think it was late 2021 when the swap happened. So what has clicked, or why has it worked between you and Chris?
We worked together in the Xfinity side and had that relationship and success there, and just through with the way things work in the industry, we kind of ended up getting split and going different ways for a while, and then for us to get back together at that point at the end of 2020 or 2021, whichever was there, we it really worked out well. Like, we just kind of fell back into the way we had worked before in the past. I think personalities work well together. Both stay fairly calm, and Chris does a great job of that in the car, just giving the feedback without getting too worried or stressed out during a race. And I don't know, just I'm able to read that, I guess, in a good way, and hopefully more often be able to get him the faster cars that he's looking for.
One for Brad, real quick, Brad. After the awkward pit stop, as we'll call it, and Chris had leapfrogged you guys, were you still optimistic that it could cycle back in some way, that you could get back up there? Obviously, this race is much about strategy and track position, but with how good your car was, did you think you could get back to have a shot at the lead again?
Yeah, well, you never lose hope, right? And we ran really hard to try to get back in the top 5, and just wasn't really able to push back through. I was kind of stuck 6th or 7th, I think, for the remainder of the race, with some guys probably in front of us that were staying out, but just couldn't quite get back by some of those guys. I think I passed the 23, but then the 8 passed me, and kind of drove away, and just couldn't make that next step. So just lost the handle in there a little bit, and not entirely sure why, but that's part of it.
We're going to go to Bob, the press box, and we'll wrap up in the back.
Bob Cockris, Fox Sports. Brad, do you feel like you're the best Ford team right now?
I don't know if I would try to quantify that. I mean, we're in a good spot. I don't know if there's how you would measure that. Like, how do you quantify what's best and what's not? I mean, if you're going by wins, I mean, yeah, we've got a win and we're locked in the playoffs, and that feels good, right? And I think we're on a good streak. And if you go by points, I think that the 12 and the 22 are maybe in front of us in points. But the 4s, we're all really close. So I think the 12, 22, 17, the 4, I mean, we're all very close in points. So, I don't know how you quantify who's best and who's not. But, I think the 4 cars of the 22, 12, 4, and 17 are all right on top of each other, and I'm right there as well. So maybe the 5 of us you could probably lay a blanket over, but we do have 2 cars, and we're a 2-car team, and we have both cars there. We don't have any good cars or bad cars, or maybe not good cars, but we don't have any bad cars, which that feels good. But we're positioning ourselves to get there one day, and I'm proud of that. But that's earned, right? You got to earn that title, and you do that with winning multiple races and contending for championships, and we're knocking on the door of that. But until we are walking in on at Phoenix with 3 or 4 win stickers on our cars, it's hard to say that we're the best. But that's what we want to be.
Go up to the press box for questions.
Lee Spencer, catchfence.com. Scott, I don't know if it was you or the spotter, but somebody came over before the final restart and said, don't let Denny do what he did to the 5 last week. I'm curious if that played into the strategy of having Chris take the inside lane.
I think the inside lane was probably the favorite lane for restarts, but that was definitely going through my mind.
Was that you then?
Yeah, it was me.
Okay.
It was me, and probably being a little dramatic at that point, but
Honest.
Just being honest, and with this car especially, like you find yourself on that outside lane, and it might be faster, but you're just vulnerable. Especially you get late race restarts, guys get really aggressive. It's too easy for someone to wash up into you and use your car up. So that was definitely a cue to, hey, let's start on the bottom and take it from there.
All right, we'll wrap up there in the back left corner.
Hello, yes, Stephen Sykes at Live and Global Media. Two quick questions. A couple of weeks ago, you mentioned something about working with the SRX series. Would you say that have helped give you more the time that you wanted, or more the feel of the different cars to help before your race today? And also, what are your plans going into Detroit for next week?
Yeah, actually, I've had a great time. Well, maybe not always a great time, but I've gotten wrecked, I think, in all 3 races. But outside of that, it's been nice to just show up and drive the car and not worry about anything. That's actually a lot of fun. When I walked away last week and the car needed a rear clip and all kinds of work done to it, I said, all right, see you next week. That's sometimes a good feeling. I've forgotten what that felt like. But then on the flip side of that, I haven't gotten the win I want over there, but was close this week. But we'll go to Michigan this week, and I think we go to Berlin, Michigan on the West Coast, and then we have a whole bunch of things we're doing with Michigan being our home race for me and for Jack Roush with different things that they have going on, and it'll be a fun week. I can tell you, coming off of Chris's win, so a lot to be proud of.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Appreciate your time, guys.
Appreciate
Thank
you guys. If you guys hang real quick up here.
Oh, the gong. You gonna bang the gong? This is a tradition.
Not familiar with the gong.
Oh yeah. If you win the race, you get to bang the gong. I didn't win the race. You won the race.
All right.
You and Chris get to bang the gong. I'll hold the gong.
Bang the gong.
No. I'll hold it. You gotta make sure. Where's our video guy at? All right. So this is you know where this tradition started from? No. When they sell tickets here at the racetrack, they would bang a gong in the office. And so I came here for the pre-race media tour and told them, you guys got to have this for the race winner. Like, you're doing this all wrong. And, it feels even better now because Jack Roush used to have the gong show. So now it's a tradition, I think, in Richmond and Victory Lane where the winner is supposed to bang the gong. So I guess now I'm moving to the media center. But
All right,
this one's for you, buddy.
All right.
You got the other side.
All right.
Got to give it a good one, like a really hard hit. You're not going to hurt it.